Hello, this is my individual project presentation for CIT 260, Brother DeBry, and my name is Jared Goff. First thing we're going to discuss here is the static class variable versus non-static instant variables and the differences. A static variable is for an entire class and will persist throughout the program. A static variable can be referenced at any time throughout the program. A non-static can be referenced if you have the class created. Here is the example of my code that shows a non-static variable and a static class variable. So acres owned equals acres owned plus equal acres to buy. Acres owned is the static class variable. It could be used at any time throughout the program. And then acres to buy is the non-static instant variable, where it'll run the one time, and as soon as it's done running, it'll have to be ran again, and it'll only run in that program class area. The static method, a static method can access static methods and variables as follows. A static method can call other static methods. It cannot call a non-static method. A static method can be called directly from the class without having to create an instance of the class. A static method can only access static variables. It cannot access instant variables. Since the static method refers to the class, the syntax to call or refer to a static method is class name dot method name. To access a non-static method from a static method, create an instance of the class. Non-static method. A non-static method in Java can access static methods and variables as follows. A non-static method can access any static method without creating an instance of the class. A non-static method can access any static variable without creating an instance of the class because the static variable belongs to the class. Here is our static method example, and in this example I use the public static int plant crops, and where the acres planted is the static variable, and if acres planted is less than 0, return 1. So the next one is array lists enumerator, or enum. Arrays are objects that are dynamically created. An array object contains a number of elements. The elements contained in an array all have the same name and are referenced by using an indexed with a non-negative integer value. If any array has n elements, then n is the length of the array. Arrays are fixed in length. And then the array list is dynamically expanding, shrinking arrays. When using array lists, it is crucial to know how many elements are in the array. Array lists have a set of methods to access elements and modify them. The enum, or enumeration, defines a class type. An enumeration has the constructors, methods, and instant variables. It is created using enum keyword. Each enumeration constant is public, static, and final by default, usually specifically with fixed objects. Here's our example of array examples. So location equals new location, and then row and columns. An array list, here is the example that I created for the animal list. Array lists, list items, animal equals new array list. In this array list, I can add additional items to the array list, like if I needed to add another animal or another variable in there. I can also, this is not static, so if ox can be changed to any other integer or any other number that it needs to. Here's the enum example in our code. We had the enum example used in the fruits where it implements the serializable. The members of the enumeration say, like, so the apple, we use enum because apple will always be red and banana will be yellow and plum will be purple. Those are just static. Here's our for loop. A for loop repeats a statement or a group of statements while a given condition is true. It tests the condition before executing the loop body, executing a sequence of statements multiple times, and abbreviates the code that manages the loop variable. For loop examples are set this object in each cell of the array in column 0, for int equals 0 if I is less than max. So it'll run through this code and add 1, so for int equals 1, and then I is less than max row, then it'll continue to run through this loop until it finds a number that is going to be not less than max row, and then it will finish the array or the loop of the array and move on through the code. Here's their throw, propagate, and catch custom errors. Throwing an error is important to our users so they can know if they're putting in the improper input. Every program is going to have errors. So by testing our errors, we can make sure they don't break anything that they're not supposed to. I use custom errors to easily and quickly identify where the error is. Here's a example of our catch error. So we go ahead and ask the user goes ahead and inputs an input, and then we catch that input if it was incorrectly inputted or not the right number that we're asking for, and then here we say, I'm sorry, master, I cannot do this, but I can make that any kind of message that I'd like to say to be an output to my user so they can understand what they need to put in there. This is an example of an error that is custom. By having it say different things, I can test the validity of what is going on and going in and coming out. In the example error, I'm sorry, master, I cannot do this. I can add whatever message I want depending on the error. Character stream class and byte stream class. Character streams are used to perform input and output For 16-bit Unicode, character streams provide buffering and are good at large data handling. Byte streams are used to perform input and output of 8-bit bytes, have no buffering, and are read byte by byte. Byte streams are good at moving photos, and character streams are good for text files. Here we go at the end. We're going to go ahead and write data to the existing or eternal file. Here on the left is our code for saving a file to an external file, or saving our game to an external file. We go ahead and prompt the user with the file path, and then we get a system output to print enter the file path where you want to save the game, and then the file path where we go ahead and just save the game, and a message comes up saying that the game was saved successfully. I'm going to go ahead and demo our game. Go ahead and start it here. Let me go ahead and start it here. Okay, welcome to the beautiful city of Erin. I'm going to go ahead and type my name in there. I'm going to go ahead and view the map. We have our key saying where the river is, and the market and the temple and the housing lake, and then I can go ahead and pick where I want to go. If I want to go ahead and view lists, and I have what I have in my storehouse, my tools, my provisions, and then I can go ahead and dig down deeper inside there and see what I have available for my animals. And view that list. And there I go. I got the 200 oxen and donkeys and chicken, pigs. And return to the previous menu. And then back to our game menu. Back to our game menu. And let's go ahead and manage our crops. Went ahead and here's my output message saying, Jared, here's your report on what year that we're starting in, the population, years or acres owned, and new people, etc. And then I can run through and say how many bushels of land, or how much land I want to buy. I'd say 50, and then I'd say 0 because I just bought this land. I don't want to sell any. And then grain, I'll go ahead and say 50, and then I want to plant 50. And then I can go ahead and right here it tells me how many bushels of wheat I set aside, how many bushels of grain I have left in storage, and what I want to do with the land, and how much wheat I have left in store. And then I'll go ahead and quit this menu by hitting 5. And then I'll go ahead and save my game. And I'll enter my file path. Jared's game. And it says my game was successfully saved. I enjoyed doing this programming, and thank you for reviewing.